wouldn't want to mentor a man? That's just me.
We work together.
Yeah, we are
Okay, and the Celebrate Women page.
Hi everyone. In the interest of time, we'll have to ask you to stop so that we can hear reflections and we can go to the unconference space. We really don't want to limit the time for the unconference fun session. So which group is ready? We'll let you take a lead. And who is ready to share their priorities? Okay, Crystal is coming on stage. Crystal, would you be there?
So we had several bigger topics, and one of the topics that we thought should have priority is to do celebrations and to celebrate the work of women. And the idea was to move from taking March as the month where we do editing to the month where we do celebrations, and to collect everything that is happening throughout the year and give out awards, have parties, celebrate the work that has been done over the year to close the gap. The other thing that we thought was very important is generally peer learning. And it's a bit connected also. So you can see we discussed not separately the ideas, but all those things that are going on throughout the year that we are going to celebrate in March are also learning opportunities. So to share throughout the year what are we doing and to give others a chance to learn from that, to expand their capacity, but also especially to expand their capacity in the area of technical stuff, because that is something that is often lacking in the female spaces, so we can create our own tools in the way that we need them, and also a lot of capacity in the sense of organizing. And lastly, we said, we had a lot of talk and a lot of these little stickies around how do we include men. It's not our top priority as such, but it's an issue we can't get around, and we thought within that big thing that we discussed, the main things that we want is to have separate spaces at the one hand. So we have spaces that are women-only spaces, because they just feel different, and some women need the security of these spaces. And to have clear, designated other spaces where men who also want to support equity can be part of the effort and will feel welcome and included and not excluded. And at the other hand, also to create resources for gender sensitivity training so men can also prepare themselves to be part of this movement and to be part of the WikiWomen initiative. Thank you.
We have the next speaker.
Okay, so just as Crystal said, we also had a lot of, yes, I'm short. A meter and a half short. We also had a lot of stickies. We also went through a lot of ideas, conversations, and we ended up having these three that are not necessarily in order of importance, but for our table, these are our priorities right now. So one of them is trying to have intersectional peer support with other organized groups that are not only necessarily like either the foundation or affiliates specifically, like talking with other user groups and create that kind of system between all of us and have these conversations and discussions that can be more open with them. Also, having a care network, like systems of care in place that are active around supporting women editors in terms of, like, for example, retention and newcomers experience and having them. And the third one, policy level modifications respecting better governance. This is around the role and representation of all of us in like strategic communication, in like strategic spaces, in decision-making spaces, in strategy conversations, and how we're going to be building the future of all of us in this movement. And with that, yes.
Hola, hola, everyone. My name is Cassie, and I'll be speaking for this table over here. So our 3 priorities that we came down to was, the first one was mentorship. So for those editors who have been here the longest, to have a sign-up page where they want to volunteer their time to support a newcomer, obviously a woman or a non-binary femme or non-binary womb body that comes into the space, to teach them X, Y, Z and what they want to learn. And it would be volunteer-based. I don't want to force anyone to be a mentor if they don't want to. So +1 to what Crystal said in the beginning with peer learning. I think that could be a really helpful space where a newcomer can learn what peer learning can look like from a mentor. I have mentors in my life, and it has definitely helped me be in this movement as well as in the wiki space and all spaces. So +1 to that. The second one was celebrating, having a wiki page / it would be called Celebrate Women Wiki page. So everything that all women and non-binary femmes and non-binary womb bodies can go to see what's happening in sub-Saharan Africa, what's happening in Latin America, what's happening in ECAP. For those women in those projects, thematic organizations, it would just be in one location and easy for a newcomer or for anyone who just wants to access resources, WikiWomen related. So, and a subpart to that, so we kind of have 4, it would be the allyship part. We all +1 at our table that says it is not our job to teach XYZ person who does not identify as a woman or is not a womb body person. The internet is free, but but allyship is important to teach, and I think we need to set up safe spaces where people who do not identify as a woman or a womb body to be at the table with us if they want to ask questions about XYZ thing, and that we have resources for those who want to read up on what does it look like to be a safe ally and someone who's not a problematic ally, but someone who can just be a powerful ally with us. Because I think we need men as well as non-women identifying people to help move this movement along. And I do not believe we could do that by ourselves, just us. So that's that. And then the last one was social media and influencers. So related, anything we can connect to TikTok, Instagram, one called House, Snapchat. I know the movement is not so gung-ho on wanting to connect it to social media, but if we were to have influencers that talk about what does open source knowledge look like, what does that even mean, people who want to talk about wiki projects on their Instagram or TikTok, to have those spaces where young people can talk about that on social media and then connect it to our wiki projects. And that's it.
So hi for the folks online. Thanks, Sele. We had a really robust philosophical conversation. So shout out to Katsuma and Shiwo for sharing their insights. One thing that came up was having a way to critically check bias perspectives critically. So in much of a similar way that bias is currently monitored and moderated by people who have them, making sure that there might be a way in which we have our own systems and structures to critically check for bias. The other one was to bring to light or shine the light on people who are historically marginalized. And Katsumo shared online a quote from Brecht that we cannot see people who are in, sorry, I needed to have written it down, but we can't see who's in the darkness when we think we're in the light, you know? So if you're only looking at your perspective of the world and believing it's the truth, then how do you even have a way of empathizing or seeing those voices? And we then connected that to the need for sources. So what does it look like to tell more stories and have partnerships with journalists and with cultural institutions that can begin to document document the stories of others. And it reminded me of a conversation we had as a team yesterday about indigenous knowledge and even like decolonizing our concept of language and written knowledge as the primary form of knowledge. So even capturing spaces for oral knowledge. And also, I mean, this is a big idea, but expanding the criteria of what is notable to include more contextual criteria for notability to local and regional notability, including in partnership with local women's, and I would add queer and femme-positive organizations. And yes, thank you to the colleagues online. We see you. We appreciate you staying with us today.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Isabella. I'm from this group over there. And well, some of our priorities are just similar to the ones that were commented here. For example, this notability on this to protect the relevance of the articles about women or women-related stuff. And maybe one thing specific and concrete thing that we can do is to train women to know and be able to defend with the tools in Wikipedia to do the discussions and be able to defend those articles. Also, not only to edit the articles. Another thing that is also repeated is more spaces and opportunity to share our knowledge and experience, like peer learning, like today, but also beyond the Wikimania and the Wikicamp. Preferably in person, because in-person contacts is very, very different. And I think, well, this is a marvelous space today, and I think we can replicate this more often. And last, for us, it will be a great idea to encourage the Wikipedia in rural areas. I know that sometimes it's technologically difficult because in some rural areas we don't have a good internet connection, but maybe some strategy was like, I don't know, a tour to implicate the people that lives in rural areas to edit and to know the Wikipedia. And this is very related to collect the oral knowledge that is in rural areas, the oral transmission. And also, we need for this strategies to validate in some way these fonts, I don't know, the knowledge, but also to be able to quote them and to cite them in I mean, not only the sources, the written sources are valid. Oral sources are also valid, and we need some strategies to be able to validate and to base our articles in oral knowledge. Okay, thank you.
I'm also short, so. Well, thank you, everyone. I think most of the things that we wrote and we discussed, it's what we've all been mentioning. So one of our key points which we spent quite some time discussing was how we do research to support our articles, because most of the time we're told like, okay, your article needs more references, but not everyone knows how to do these research to get more references. And sometimes we focus our editathons or our events on teaching people how to edit Wikipedia itself and how to write here, how to add a hyperlink, but how do we do this research? How do we get more references on this person? So maybe adding this part of thing, teaching people how to use keywords, how they can maybe go into one of the references they found and then from there jump into a new one and then get more things. And then this will make our article a bit more solid so people can, I mean, as some people mentioned, this will help the article stand and defend the article later, tell other editors like, our article is relevant because A, B, C, and D, you know? So we went a lot discussing into that. And we also went into discussing about the support groups, having people that support our article. But it's important that these people belong to our Wikipedia or to our regional Wikipedia because they are the ones who understand our issues. I was mentioning my particular case that I edit both Spanish and English Wikipedia. And the issues I face in Spanish Wikipedia have nothing to do with the things I can face in the English one and vice versa. So these things are really important. Know who to communicate and say, oh, the people from Mexico, Argentina, or Spain can help me defend articles in Spanish, whereas the people from DC or New York knows how to defend articles in English Wikipedia. So having the support groups that are also in our time zone, because in our group we have people from Southeast Asia, and they were like, we cannot meet with people at 3 a.m. because, you know, we want to sleep. So just having people that support our own language Wikipedias in our own language and that have faced the same issues that we do, this can be quite helpful for all of us. So that's basically it. And thank you so much for everything.
Can you allow one question?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a beautiful idea to try and support internationally, but we should somehow showcase, I think, the articles which are under attack so that we can all react and we can combine our strength to help our international colleagues to defend articles that are relevant for our women community.
No, and this is very true. I was telling them about, during June, I wrote an article of a queer, sorry if I'm not saying this properly, LGBTQ scientist. And I wrote the article in Spanish, and in Spanish I got a lot of comments being like, his activism in the LGBTQ community is not important, his scientific career is not relevant, la la la. Versus in the English Wikipedia, everyone was like, oh my God, this is such a great scientist, and he's LGBTQ, welcome to the Wikipedia, you know? So facing all these challenges is like, why everyone in the English Wikipedia is like, oh great, we have a queer scientist here. And in Spanish they were like, is he really, even some people were like, is he really a scientist, or he's just like an activist? It's like, what? Like, of course he's a scientist, and you have to defend all this kind of things. So yeah, international collaboration is very valuable in these things. Yeah. Okay.
Because usually they think that the English Wikipedia is very permissive.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for all these amazing ideas and priorities that you all have identified. So what we are going to do is, I know all conversations are really interesting, and I have been, not literally, but sucking your blood for quite some time now. Yeah, but this is the last 2-3 minutes from me. So what we are going to do is, as Chinmay specified, there are 4 categories of engagement plan that we have: social, training-based, project-based, and strategic. We are going to, I've taken notes for all the priorities that you have identified here, and I'm going to add them to all of them. They are all available on Meta, and after Chinmay's session, she is going to share updates from the summit on the engagement plan, how this is modified, on the declaration as well, and we are going to publish all this on Meta as well. So the Meta table will be reflective of what happened at the camp and what happened here. So it is truly reflective of the conversations around what we need to do. And once WikiWomen Collective is formed, they will have a clear baseline to start their work. They will, I know there are hundreds of issues in the world around gender gap, but they'll have a clear outline of what they need to focus on. And out of all those areas, they'll be able to identify the priorities for first year and for second year. And then the idea is that every year this torch will be passed to the next organizers. So this year we are working closely with Kabi on this. So next year it'll pass on to the next organizers. I'm not on announcing, so we have a slide for that later. So they'll do it. So how this will help is that the burden of this whole work will not lie with one set of people, and also we'll have diverse experience and expertise, and maybe it'll bring a different change to how we are running our projects. Thank you so much. And I think this was the last extensive session where we were engaging you and actually not literally maybe boring you. We have an amazing unconference session coming up now. So we'd like to invite. Oh, we have a 15-minute break? Oh, we are immediately going on to the next session, unconference space, which is so fun that we do not need a break.
So what we're going to do is have you take a break as you please. Take it now, or in 5 minutes, or 15 minutes, or 25 minutes. Take it as you please, but we're in the interest of time, because we're running late, we're going to keep going so that we end and give you enough time to get to the main conference for the start of the Wikimania. All right. Ruby,